Shalom, shalom, Shabbat shalom. So in the previous video titled Roman Times, we covered, and meaning myself and those in viewership, we covered the topic of Roman times was the message, the revealing of the destruction of the temple, heaven and earth, at Jerusalem, and the events, the occurrences prior to 70 AD and following the periods of 70 AD. In the purpose of this video, I wanted to revisit this subject and provide context and the settings of the foretold events called the beginning of sorrows in Matthew chapter 24. The persecution, the ill treatment based on the beliefs of the gospel and testimonies of YHWH, now being spread to the known world, and this political power doing all it can to stop, discourage, and distort the faith. So without further ado, and with the Most High's permission as always, the lesson titled, The Dominicans. Let's begin. Catholic priest Dominic de Guzman, and within the walls of the Roman Catholic Church, is known as Saint Dominic, during the late periods of the 13th century. And old Dominic contested with a peoples called the Albigenses, from a city called Albi, which is located in France. And what these two contested on, the Albigenses and the Roman Catholic Church, namely Dominic de Guzman, was the accusation of heretics. The Albigenses believing and expressing different opinions from the dogmas of the Roman Catholic Church. So in 1207 AD, the Colloquy of Montreal, or Gilbert de Castres, this theological debate between Roman Catholicism and the Albigenses, Dominic representing the Roman Catholic Church. In 1203 or 1204, he, meaning Dominic, accompanied Diego de Acebo on a diplomatic mission for Alfonso XIII, King of Castile, to secure a bride in Denmark for the Crown Prince Ferdinand. The envoys traveled to Denmark via Aragon, the south of France. The marriage negotiations ended successfully, but the princess died before leaving for Castile. During their return journey, they met with Cistercian monks who had been sent by Pope Innocent III to preach against cathars, a Christian religious sect with Gnostic and dualistic beliefs which the Catholic Church deemed heretical. Dominic and Acebo attributed to the Cistercians' lack of success to their extravagance and pomp compared to the asceticism of the cathars. And asceticism is just self-discipline and avoidance of indulgence. So during the Middle Ages, the Roman Catholic Church issued grants to the public from the Pope for temporary remission of sins, and these indulgences would be sold. Okay, reading back in the passage, they decided to adopt a more ascetic way of life and began a program in the south of France to convert the cathars. Catholic cathar debates were held in Burfil, in the lands of Pamiers, and in Montreal. Diego de Acebo later died, leaving Dominic alone in his mission. So ultimately, these theological debates during 1206 and 1207 between the Albigenses and the papal representation of Dominic, or Saint Dominic de Guzman, resulted in the humiliation and multiple failed attempts to eliminate religious practices and conversion to the Latin Church or the Roman Catholic Church, thus initiating the Order of the Dominicans, or in the Latin, Ordo Predicatorum. In 1215, Dominic established himself with 6 followers in a house given by Peter Selah, a rich resident of Toulouse. Dominic saw the need for a new type of organization to address the spiritual needs of the growing cities of the era, one that would combine dedication and systematic education with more organizational flexibility than either monastic orders or the secular clergy. He subjugated himself and his companions to the monastic rules of prayer and penance. Bishop Fowles gave them, meaning Dominic and the 6 followers, written authority to preach throughout the territories of Toulouse. Also in 1215, the year of the Fourth Lateran Council, Dominic and Fowles went to Rome to secure the approval of the Pope, that Pope being Pope Innocent III. Dominic returned to Rome a year later and was finally granted written authority in December 1216 and January 1217 by the new Pope, Pope Honorius III, for him, meaning for Dominic, to form the Ordo Praedicatorum. In 1233, Pope Gregory IX established the Papal Inquisitions to regularize the persecution of heresy. The Papal Inquisitions was intended to bring order to the haphazard Episcopal Inquisitions, which had been established by Lucius III in 1184. Pope Gregory's aim was to bring order and legality to the process of dealing with heresy, since there had been tendencies by mobs of townspeople to burn alleged heretics without much of a trial. In 1231, Pope Gregory IX appointed a number of papal inquisitioners, mostly Dominicans and Franciscans, for the various regions of France, Italy, and parts of Germany. Contrary to popular belief, the aim was to introduce due process, an objective investigation into the beliefs of those accused, to the often erratic and unjust persecution of heresy on the part of local ecclesiastical and secular jurisdictions. So, making a long story short, by 1233, Pope Gregory IX established inquisitions as official church doctrine against those who did not adhere to the theology of the Roman Catholic Church. And as a result, the popes of the Roman Catholic Church begins to outlaw reading, possession, and translation of the Holy Bible. So it's pretty conclusive that the Roman Catholic Church considers themselves to be the only church. Over the past centuries and today, they're still under the impression that they're the vicar of Christ, the bishop of bishops, the supreme pontifex, with the abilities or with the authority to change commandments and feast days, the forgiveness of sins and the atonement of, the beginning of sorrows. Well, that's all the time we have. So all praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, HaMashiach, the High Priest forever, after the order of Melchizedek. And until next time, Yah willing. Shalom Lakem.